Hello and welcome to Decoding. In today's video we will look at ThinkPad X12 Detachable Gen 1, which is simply put a Windows tablet for professionals on the go. But there's more to this ThinkPad than you might think at first. We will also compare it against more consumer-friendly Lenovo Yoga Duet 7, which is also detachable, and we will also explain why we think ThinkPad X12 is a better option over Microsoft Surface. Lenovo ThinkPad X12 Detachable is, as you can probably already tell, not a traditional clamshell laptop, but rather a 12.3-inch tablet running full-fledged Windows 10 with, as name suggests, a detachable folio keyboard. But don't let this form factor fool you. You can spec up X12 with up to i7 1180 G7 with vPro, 16 gigs of RAM and 1TB of SSD. This particular model features Intel i5 1130 G7 with Intel Iris Xe graphics, 16 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM, soldered of course, and 512 GB of speedy PCIe SSD. With these specs, X12 can easily compete with ThinkPad X1 Nano in regards to power. However, this is not what this detachable is built for. Its main focus instead is to offer users everything that's great about ThinkPad, but in this very mobile and versatile package, which you can simply transform into the device you need the most at that moment. Now, as far as design goes, X12 isn't exactly a beauty, but has rather purposeful design. Well, it is black just like other ThinkPads. It does have some red accents, glowing red LED, magnesium alloy chassis, which feel very premium to the touch. Now look at these sturdy hinges. They're built to withstand some rough handling. Or this little pen holder which holds your pen, which by the way is included. And do you know what else is included? This folio keyboard. That's right. You will not only get free pen, but also this premium ThinkPad detachable keyboard. You hear that, Microsoft? Also, we have to mention that X12 together with the keyboard only weighs 1.1 kilograms, which is very impressive because it still meets 12 military grade requirements and went through more than 200 quality tests. So there you have it. A true ThinkPad after all. X12 comes with 12.3-inch FHD Plus IPS panel with 400 nits of brightness, and of course it is a tablet, so touch is a default. Yes, bezels are rather large for 2021, but remember, many people will use this mainly as a tablet device. 3:10 aspect ratio is not as good as 16:10, which is a sweet spot in my opinion, but still manages to offer that extra vertical space, which is great of course. Also, this screen is protected with Gorilla Glass 5. Now, you might be asking if this folio keyboard is actually any good for serious typing and professionals. And the answer is yes, it absolutely is. Of course, it does bend a bit if I press on it really hard like this, but while typing normally, it's very firm and sturdy with great tactile feedback, and it feels just like proper ThinkPad keyboard. Now, this keyboard feels very close to one on X1 Nano, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Even the size is the same, which means it still stands for that legendary ThinkPad keyboard, even though travel distance is 1.35mm instead of typical 1.5mm. But you know what? I can type on this keyboard for hours and it still feels far more comfortable than most keyboards out there. This keyboard also features 2-stage backlit and even 2 positions for typing. That's right, you can have it completely flat or slightly elevated for better ergonomics thanks to magic of magnets. As far as trackpad goes, size is good, very responsive, still has these 2 physical click buttons, and of course signature red track point cannot be missing even on this folio keyboard. On the right we have a fingerprint scanner, and it is as expected fast and reliable. Upside of having folio keyboard is that it never gets hot to the touch, which of course is because all internals are in the tablet unit. it. I have to say, speakers on this machine are just pure bad. Not just ultra slim laptop bad category, but they're simply unacceptable for 2021 standards. Seriously, smartphones have better audio performance. Make sure to use good pair of headphones for media consumption and even conference calls with X12 Detachable. Normally, I would not pay too much attention to cameras, but in this case we actually have two of them. We have 5 megapixel front-facing camera with IR blaster, which supports Windows Hello, hands-free login and has privacy shutter. And we have 8 megapixel rear-facing camera. I mean, it's alright if you quickly need to take a photo of a document, but that's really it. As for ports, do not expect any USB-A. Instead, we have two USB-C ports, but only one of them supports Thunderbolt 4. We also have an audio jack and Kensington lock. X12 also offers optional WWAN card, but instead of 5G, Lenovo is betting, at least at the moment, on more mainstream 4G LTE module. Now let's look at some synthetic benchmarks. At PCMark 10, X12 scored with 4,081 points, from which 9,419 were scored for essential, 5,627 for productivity, and very poor 3,480 for digital content creation. But let's be honest, the most content creation you will be doing with X12 is some sketching and note-taking. We even run 3D Mark just to see how good this detachable would be for some very basic gaming. And in Time Spy, X12 scored with 1,037 and in Firestrike 2,696. In Cinebench, as you can see, ThinkPad X12 scored poorly, especially if we look at Yoga Duet 7, which has similar CPU and only 8 gigs of RAM. In Geekbench 5, ThinkPad X12 scored close to X1 Nano in single core, and in multi-core, well, not great as you can see. Results are not too bad in OpenCL benchmark. In Blender, we run BMW 27 and X12 was slightly better than X1 Nano, but once again, Yoga Duet 7 did better even in this one. We have to say that during benchmarks and heavy workload, fans are fairly audible, which can be annoying. That said, it was the most quiet laptop we have tested for this video, except of course fanless MacBook Air with M1 chip. ThinkPad X12 Detachable comes with 42 Wh battery and it can last through your typical 9 to 5 workday with no problems. Now, how does ThinkPad X12 compare to Lenovo Yoga Duet 7, which is of course also a detachable? Well, if you look at these devices side by side, it is obvious that Yoga is more consumer-oriented device. Yoga has slightly larger 13-inch screen with 16:10 aspect ratio, which, as I mentioned before, I think is that sweet spot for productivity. Now the keyboard. X12 keyboard is definitely better, as it should be. It's a ThinkPad after all. It is more comfortable and you have two typing angles to choose from. That said, Yoga has larger keyboard and most importantly, larger and very good trackpad. Port situation is also very different. Yoga actually has one USB-C 3.2 port extra compared to the ThinkPad. Yoga also has an SD card reader, while ThinkPad offers nano SIM card slot for LTE connectivity. As for the build quality, they are both really sturdy and they both feel really premium to the touch. Hinges are, as you can see, much sturdier on ThinkPad, while they're not weak on Yoga at all. ThinkPad will probably last longer even after some long-term abuse. Now, as far as audio performance goes, I have already said that X12 sounds terrible, and with Yoga having extra smart amp, it definitely sounds better. Audio is not as flat as on ThinkPad, but even base MacBook Air is still miles ahead in regards to audio quality. Last but not least, if you want to carry these around, ThinkPad X12 is slightly lighter, but difference is barely noticeable. Let's not forget to mention that unlike Yoga, ThinkPad has this handy pen holder, which is far from perfect, let's be honest. We would like to see magnets instead, but it is better than nothing. If you want us to do full hands-on review of Lenovo Yoga Duet 7, let us know down below in the comment section. Now let me explain why we think that ThinkPad X12 Detachable is a better option over Microsoft Surface Pro. Microsoft does not include pen or keyboard with Surface Pro, and even tablet itself is more expensive than ThinkPad X12. There is no Thunderbolt 4 on Surface Pro, and you cannot get Surface with V Pro. There is no privacy shutter for webcam on Surface and no fingerprint reader. So if you prefer to use that instead of Windows Hello, you are out of luck. Now, of course, there are many things which are better on Surface Pro, but as an overall package, we think the ThinkPad X12 is a better option. At the end of the day, it really depends how you would use your detachable device. They're both great. ThinkPad with its true ThinkPad DNA, and Yoga with less serious approach but also great functionality and performance. Well, there you have it. Which one is your favorite? ThinkPad X12 or Yoga Duet 7? Let us know down below in the comment section and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you.